On this episode, I show you how insanely easy it is to connect our device to the cloud. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of DailyIoT. I'm super excited about today's episode. We're going to hook our IoT device that we've been working on the last couple of episodes up to the cloud, and I am super pumped to show you how easy this is with the Particle Photon. But first, I want to cover a piece of news very quickly. I don't want to drone on about the news. If you haven't heard by now, Pebble, the wearable watchmaker that was sort of really one of the bigger competitors to Apple Watch that had its origins in Kickstarter and was a very maker DIY type of crowd that made it, turned into a big product and was super popular on Kickstarter. One of the most backed projects over multiple projects that they did of all time, has sold to Fitbit for, I don't think they know exactly, but I think it was like somewhere between $35 and $40 million. And the people at Pebbles put an update on Kickstarter because they had a pretty recent Kickstarter that they're still shipping rewards out on their latest device. They put sort of this, thanks for the journey and the good times, and this is sort of like happy. We learned so much and we had so many good times, but it's not working out, and so we've sold to Fitbit, and they're laying off a bunch of people, and some of the team is going to join Fitbit. But the internet was not happy about it. There wasn't like, oh yeah, we did have good times and everybody's celebrating. People were livid, super upset. And for good reason. A lot of people just got one of the most recent Pebble watches and then got an announcement saying, hey, it should still work, but there's no more support, there's no updates, there's nothing. And so people very upset. But the other part of this news item is, as I was looking through it and looking at several of the different news outlets, there were lots of articles about how the wearables market is dead and this is the end of smartwatches. And I think people are forgetting how young Internet of Things is. We're still so early, incredibly early in the Internet of Things wave. And so I think it's, almost a little comical that people are calling this dead before we've even gotten off the ground. People are treating the Internet of Things like it's a mature, grown thing. In the grand scheme of things, it's still like an elementary school kid. Like, Internet of Things is super young still. And so I've talked about this before. We're going to see these, huge chunks implode and then be reborn. And lots of stuff is still happening. So I think it's funny, news outlets have to write about something. And so why not? It's a good headline. Like, the wearables market is dead and smartwatches are dying. And we're still just trying to figure it out. We're still trying to figure out the market. We're still trying to figure out the value and what it's going to do for people's lives. And so this isn't the end of wearables. It's not the end of smartwatches. But that is big news this week. Pebble sold to Fitbit. Okay, let's move on. That's enough news. Let's get back to the project. I'm super excited. I can't even wait to talk about this. And so we have the device that we've been working on the last couple of episodes, and we are now going to hook it up to the Particle Cloud so that it is not just a thing anymore, it's an Internet of Things device. And so let's do that. We're going to come back over. I'm going to plug it into my laptop here. We're going to come back into the Particle IDE, and this is the code that we wrote before that was just outputting our value every second that we could read over the serial port. And what we're going to do is Particle has built an entire ecosystem around connecting your device to the cloud. And so to show you how we do this, in our setup function, we just need to set up one thing. And all we have to do, there's built-in functions for this, is we do particle.variable, and we give it a name. We'll just call it light value. This is what we want to refer to it as in the cloud. And then what the variable is that we want to track. In our case, it is the light value variable. Okay. That's it. It's done. Just like that. So we're going to hit flash. You can hit verify to make sure it builds first, compiling code, and it says code verified, great work. I'm going to hit flash. I don't know how well you can see it. I've got the breathing cyan here. It's going to start flashing magenta, meaning that the firmware is updating over the air, over Wi-Fi, and we're back to breathing cyan, which means that's it, it's done. And so just to prove that there's not any smoke and mirrors here, I'm going to unplug this from my laptop. I have a little USB power supply here I picked up from Adafruit, and I'm going to plug it into there. We're going to go back to a breathing cyan state. So I've got this sitting right here, and what we're going to do is we're going to come back over to our terminal window, and again, we're going to use the CLI. It's a huge tool. A lot of people don't use it. They rely on the web interface and things like that, which is fine, but if you get to know the CLI, it's very simple and it's very powerful. You can get things done very quickly. And so we're going to do this command called particle list. And now what this is going to do is list all of our photons that we have and show you a status of them. So I'm going to hit enter, and you'll notice I get an error. It says you are not logged in. Please log in using Particle Cloud Login. And so we actually don't even need to do Particle Cloud Login. We can just do Particle Login, I believe, as for short. It's going to say, please enter your email address, so I will do that. And then your password. It says sending login details, successfully completed login. So we'll clear that, and then let's try and run that command again. Particle list. It says retrieving devices, and you'll notice I have a couple of devices there, but the one that's online is my microcast photon that we've been using. It says online, and look there, it says, oh, there's variables that I know about that you've told the cloud about, one of them being light value. And all we need to do to get that value right here from the command line is particle get. We give it a name of a photon, so in our case it's microcast underscore photon, and then the variable that we want to get. In our case, light value. I'll hit enter, and there you go, 737. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my hand over it here and just run that again. So we should get a lower value because there's less light being exposed to the sensor. And there you go, 18. Get my flashlight, hold my flashlight over it. Let's run it one more time. And we're way up there, 3,156. We're getting that data from the cloud through the particle ecosystem, which is amazing. Now, that's great, right? I can use their particle CLI to get values, and that's great for debugging and messing around, but what about getting this in an application from a website or from some other application? Well, let me show you how easy this is. We're not going to get into the details of an application, but if we come back over here and we open up a new tab, all of these things are accessible from the particle cloud endpoints. And so if I just do https /api.particle.io/v1, it's version 1 of the API, devices, and then /, and now what I need to do is put my device ID. Now to get my device ID, I'm going to come back over to my build tab here, come down to the little targeting devices tab, click on that, and you can see my microcast photon has a device ID right here. I will copy that and come back over to my tab and paste it in. When I hit enter, you'll see that I get an error. It says invalid request, the access token was not found. Now the particle cloud is all secured. They take care of that for you, and so what we need is an access token. And we can provide that via a query string. So we put a question mark at the end if you're not familiar with how query strings work. And then the argument here is access token and then equals. We'll come back over to the build ID. There's this little gear at the very bottom with settings. We'll click on that and you can see I have an access token that I will copy. Come back over here and say access token equals that and hit enter. And right away, look at this, this is amazing. We're getting information about our photon. We've got the name, the IP address, it'll say connected true. So you can even run this for photons that are not connected, particle devices that aren't connected, and you'll get connected equals false. And so we have this way now to interact through normal HTTP calls to get status about our particle devices. Cellular's false, that would be true if this were an electron. And then again, variables, we've got light values. So we can actually interrogate and query devices to see what variables and functions are available through the cloud that we published from our sketch code. And so now all we have to do, we're going to leave this all intact, except we're going to make one change here to the URL. We have devices slash our device ID, and now let's put the name of the variable, which is light value. We'll hit enter, and you'll see now we get this. We get the name is light value, and the result is 753. That's the value of our light sensor. Now again, we'll hold my hand over it here to shade it from the light, and I'll just run this again. You'll see that I get 15, it's almost completely dark. Shine the flashlight on it, and I'll refresh again. You see I'm now up to 3063. And so that's it. That's how quickly we can get a particle device connected to the cloud. I mean, it literally was one line of code in our scenario to get information up to the cloud. Now, it'll take time for you to write some sort of application. So any application that can make generic HTTP web calls, which is pretty much any language you would want to program in, can now query the API and get information about your devices, which is amazing. This is super powerful, and in my opinion, is the easiest platform right now on the market that will get you into a cloud device state. I mean, the Raspberry Pi can do this, and Arduinos can do this, but not with the ease and speed that you can do and get started with the Particle devices. So truly amazing, I love it. So that's it. We have a cloud device. I could now take this, and I'm on battery power here. I could set this in a room, and I could track, light intensity in a room, see if my kids are leaving the lights on or whatnot, and check it from anywhere in the world. I can run this command, simple HTTP get from my browser, and get information about the status of my light sensor. Tomorrow, you want to stay tuned. We're going to finish this up in the week and add another cloud integration to a third-party cloud service. So this is all through the Particle ecosystem. We're going to bring in another cloud element to this, which I think will be pretty cool that you'll want to tune in and check out tomorrow. Otherwise, I appreciate everybody watching. I hope you found this useful, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching Daily IoT, the show where together we're learning all about the Internet of Things, one day at a time. It's windy. You hear that? It's the wind blowing outside. It's like red alert around here. The wind's crazy right now.